Howdy, everyone. It's Reese, aka Bearman Prime, on this September 11th. Welcome back to my Read the Bible in a Year series. Thank you again for joining me. God bless you all. Card in the top right hand corner for the rest of the playlist, and please hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell. I sure do appreciate it. All right, so the last few days we've been following Jesus. He's been teaching and preaching in the temple courtyard in Jerusalem. Last few days, he's really been hammering home this idea of the second coming, end times, the establishment of his kingdom on earth, and the final judgment for everyone when everyone will be separated into those that will enter the kingdom of heaven and those who will not and be thrown into the lake of fire, right? Okay, so we're going to stop that and we're actually going to continue on with the story, and we're hitting the point where the plan will be set in motion to arrest and kill Jesus. We're going to see that start today. So let's go to Luke 22 and start in verse 1. It was almost time for the Jewish festival of unleavened bread, called the Passover. The leading priests and teachers of the law wanted to kill Jesus, but they were trying to find a quiet way to do it because they were afraid of what the people would do. Verse 3. One of Jesus' 12 apostles was named Judas Iscariot. Satan entered him, and he went and talked with the leading priests and some of the soldiers who guarded the temple. He talked to them about a way to hand Jesus over to them. The priests were very happy about this. They promised to give Judas money for doing this. He agreed. Then he waited for the best time to hand him over to them. He wanted to do it when no one was around to see it. Verse 7. The day of unleavened bread came. This was the day when the Jews always killed the lambs for the Passover. Jesus said to Peter and John, "Go and prepare the Passover meal for us to eat." They said to him, "Where do you want us to prepare the meal?" He said to them, "When you go into the city, you will see a man carrying a jar of water. Follow him. He will go into a house. Tell the owner of the house, 'The teacher asked that you please show us the room where he and his followers can eat the Passover meal.' Then the owner will show you a large room upstairs that is ready for us. Prepare the meal there." So Peter and John left. Everything happened the way Jesus said. So they prepared the Passover meal. All right, so remember, this is an important time in the Jewish calendar, right? The Passover. Okay, so this is the time when they celebrate the angel of death passing over the Israelites in Egypt. Okay, remember, after the 9 plagues, the 10th plague coming, where the angel of death would kill the firstborn, every firstborn in Egypt. But the Israelites were saved because they killed the lamb without blemish and spread its blood on their door frame, right? So the angel of death passed over them and spared them from that plague, right? So that's what they're celebrating here. And the leading priests and the teachers of the law are trying to devise a way to kill Jesus. And here comes Judas, right? So we touched on that before. Judas is one of the apostles, one of the 12. He's the treasurer, basically. He's the one in charge of the money bag. But he was also apparently a thief. He would skim a little off the top for himself and keep it. So, he clearly loved money. He loved money. And there's also a possibility that he was not fully buying into what Jesus said. He probably was really honed in on the idea that the Messiah would be some earthly political leader who would drive out the Roman Empire and reestablish the earthly kingdom of Israel. But when that didn't happen, Judas is probably like, okay, no, I'm not following this guy. And so, because of those two things, his greed and his disbelief, that's when Satan entered him. Okay, so God didn't make Satan enter Judas, right? He allowed it to happen because Judas had already chosen to betray Jesus. He had already chosen to not follow him. Okay, that's the order of operations there. Okay, it wasn't predestined that necessarily that Judas would do what he did, but rather Judas made the choice. He could have chosen not to do those things, but he did. God knew he would, because remember, God sees all the branches. He sees every possibility, every timeline, every choice, every decision, every possibility there, right? So He knew the path that Judas would take. He knew that Judas would take the path that would lead him to betray Jesus Christ. Okay, so then he used that he used that opportunity to allow Satan into Judas's heart to actually follow through with that. Okay, and that would further God's plan of salvation for mankind, et cetera, right? And so Judas makes the agreement with the Jewish leaders that he will find a way to hand Jesus over to them in exchange for money, blood money. And then we see Jesus sending Peter and John, two of his closest disciples, into the city of Jerusalem to prepare for the Passover meal, which is where we're going to pick it up tomorrow, where we start to see the event of the Last Supper or the Lord's Supper, right? That's all for today. We're going to pick it up there tomorrow. Thank you again for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. I'll see y'all tomorrow.